Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this webinar. Very nice to have you with us today. And also our very special guests. So we have, as you probably notice on screen, Candice Carlton and Megan Carpenter from FICOM, who I will introduce properly in just a moment. But before we really dive into the subject matter, which they're going to share with you and I know you're going to benefit from, I want to just explain why we're having this webinar. What is the purpose? Well, as most of you know by now, our new personal connection video tool is available. And that means that every 2 weeks, we're giving you a script and we're giving you a complete campaign ready to deploy that video. So here's your script, here's your tools, here are the social posts coordinated, here's the landing page with the lead capture mechanism, here is everything you need to promote your video. And so it's as easy as uploading it to a video channel and then dropping the link into Snappy Kraken and you're off video marketing. And our members have loved it and they're getting nice results from it. But there's continually been one challenge. And they've come back to us and they've said, how do we make better video? How's the quality of my video? How's my lighting? How do I look? I've seen other advisors with better videos. How do I make videos like them? And these are all fair questions. And frankly, we're a marketing, content, and technology company, but we're not into professional video production. But that's why we have Megan and Candice here today. So I want to tell you a little bit about them and what you're going to expect from this webinar. Primarily, you're going to learn the difference between old school video marketing and new school video marketing. And there is a difference. And these ladies know the difference. And I'm going to tell you one of the reasons why we have such confidence in them. For a little bit of background, Candice worked at a little company you might have heard of called United Capital, of course, acquired by Goldman Sachs. And she ran a video first marketing program there. She developed an entire infrastructure around this form of marketing, and her expertise really shines through. In addition, she's helped XYPN with some of their growth, marketing and video initiatives. And Megan Carpenter, the CEO of FICOM, she's got just shy of 20 years of experience working for advisors deep inside of practices with RIAs and institutional clients and solo advisors. And she is a marketer through and through. Together, they've built a video program, training curriculum that's actually up for this year's Wealth Management Disruptor Award for the quality of its education for advisors. So what they're going to do today as a partner is they're going to teach you about how to make your video more effective, how to make it look better, how to make it sound better, how to make it more authentic. They're going to spend about 40 or 45 minutes on that, and then they're going to take your questions. So whatever you want to ask them, it's fair game. Maybe they'll even do a TikTok dance. I don't know, but don't hesitate to ask the questions. So Candice, Megan, thank you so much for taking the time to do this webinar for us. And I'm going to turn the floor over to you now.
Thank you so much, Robert. And I have to say, TikTok would definitely be new school. So we'll see. We'll see where we get to. But we're really happy to be here. Thank you very much to Robert and his team for inviting us to speak with all of you today about how you can really become a video rock star. And one of the reasons that we were really, really happy to be invited to be here is because we're talking to a lot of advisors that are already digital first in their approach. And we know that because you are Snappy Kraken followers and users. And so we're really happy to be here. And I appreciate the introductions. I might just spend a couple seconds giving a little bit more information, and I'll invite Candice to do the same, and then we'll run through the breakdown for today. But as Robert indicated, I have spent almost 20 years, I've spent my entire career helping financial advisors to grow their business by transitioning to the new school of marketing. I've been in your offices. I've worked with advisors just like you. I've had the opportunity in the 8 years since launching this business to be able to work alongside some advisors that are launching brand new businesses, some established financial advisors, and some of the leading service providers to advisors in this space. So I share all of that just to let you know that I know where you sit. I know the opportunities that you have in front of you from a marketing perspective, and I also know some of the challenges that you face. So everything that we bring to you from FICOM really brings that perspective. We're champions of financial advisors. We believe in what you do, and our goal is to help you build better businesses. And we love being here with Snappy Kraken because we really believe in the platform that they've built to really help you turbocharge your marketing efforts. Candice, I'll let you introduce yourself for a few moments and then I'll set up the agenda.
Fabulous. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Robert, thank you so much. It's such a joy to be on this webinar with Snappy Kraken. We've been watching them for a while, and we love everything that's happening. The personal connection video update, when we saw that, we were just like amazed by it. So we have our two pictures up here because we're on video, and I think like what we're all experiencing right now is that seems to be our first touch point with people. A little bit about me, I think Robert did a phenomenal job of introducing me. If you hear a little bit of an accent going throughout when I'm talking, it's just a smidge. I'm originally from Zimbabwe and I went to school in South Africa. I've spent my entire career in the RIA industry, and I'm passionate about all things new school marketing and video to help advisors really show up authentically and powerfully to help you do what you do best, which is to change the lives of clients. So really excited to be here. As Robert mentioned, I worked at United Capital. I built United Capital's digital network. I've coached hundreds of advisors across the country as well as C-suite executives on how to show up powerfully and authentically on camera and at the mic. So super excited to be here. Meg, do you want to roll into the agenda?
Yeah, so we're going to break this down into 3 sections. We're going to first just sort of contextualize it. Why is video so important? Then we're going to talk about, as Robert indicated, the old school of video compared to the new school of video. Then we're going to give you some tips that you can implement in your own business to be a new school video marketer and to really show up like a rock star on video. And I think it's important to start with this sort of why video, why are we here today, why are we talking about it? Because we think that there's some pretty obvious reasons like you see on this screen, but we also think that there are some opportunities that have a much longer lead that we want to make sure that you're considering as you're thinking about how to take this next step in your business and how you market. So of course, this is 2020. So much has changed. Of course, we're experiencing this global pandemic. I don't need to tell you about it. We're all living it every single day. I never would have imagined that I would be coming to you broadcasting from my home. It just was not something that I would have ever imagined to be the case. But here we are, 5 months in. I'm here in my room speaking with all of you. There also has just been pre-COVID, of course, we're seeing that there is so much content that is available for your clients and for your prospects. It's become difficult to understand how to really differentiate your content, how to create content that's meaningful, and most importantly, how to create content that drives commercial success for your business. And by the way, when you're thinking about your marketing, everything you do should drive toward commercial success. And you can define what that means, but what that means is it new assets under management? Is it new households? If you're growing inorganically, is it advisor recruitment or acquisition? Is it growth in your enterprise value? Whatever that is, everything that you do from a marketing perspective should have a commercial success factor. And when you're thinking about content, you want to think about what that commercial success factor is. And today, with the internet and everyone's ability to search and have information at your fingertips, we've had this content overload. At the same time, we've really seen such positive transformation in the advisor-client relationship. You're here because you're a financial advisor, because you do really great work for your clients. Like Candice said, you're changing lives. The advisor-client relationship has become one that is so trusted that often financial advisors are the first person that a client will call when they're experiencing something in their lives, something great, something that they're not sure about, something that's causing uncertainty or hardship. And so the nature of the relationship has really changed in a very positive way, at the same time that the industry has been somewhat commoditized. Of course, we've got the investment management piece that we've seen commoditized, but with Schwab's recent announcement of offering free financial planning tools to everybody, we're also seeing the financial planning component being commoditized. And these are just a couple of things that we want to share with you today to really demonstrate why video is so important. And it really is because the traditional marketing is no longer enough. But what I want you to think about is not just using video like we are today, which is we're here on video. My webcam is turned on. Candice's webcam is turned on. You can see us. You can get a feel for our personalities. You can connect with us. This is one really powerful way to use video. But what we really want to give to you today is that it shouldn't just be about video conferencing. It's really about creating a complete experience by utilizing modern technology. I mean, listen, the truth is that technology has enabled you to have human, authentic, relevant, and meaningful connections with the people that matter most in a virtual way. It's pretty awesome. And we're excited about what we've seen technology sort of do within our industry from a marketing perspective. But it's really important to consider how you're using your digital first approach, which we know you're doing because you're with Snappy Kraken. You already believe that digital first is the way to go. You've invested with a great partner. You've got the tools that you need to succeed. We want to talk about how adding video is just going to add that extra layer and really transform your prospect and your client experience. So the advisor of today is really about being digital first, but also about being really targeted and really authentic. It's this targeted authenticity that we see that changes the way that advisors approach their marketing. But it's also about the complete experience. So we don't want to stop when we think about, digital first. We really want you to think about how you can harness the power of authenticity to complete an entire experience for your prospects and clients that, again, is going to help you drive to commercial success in your business. So what we're going to do today is really talk with you about how you can become a video rock star so that you can leverage the tools that you have, the personal connection video tool from Snappy Kraken, and help you walk away with some tips for how to be more comfortable on camera so that you can see the success within your prospect and client experience.
So video, such a powerful medium to really supercharge your prospect and client experience. So here's a lovely example, and Robert made us show this to him while we were prepping. It was supposed to be a surprise, but Meg knows Robert a little bit better than I do. I don't know him that well, but I've seen some of his videos ahead of time and what it's really conveyed to me. And I think you probably all have had this experience with Robert. Maybe you've never met him in person, but maybe you've seen him at a booth at a conference or something. But watching his videos or watching recordings of maybe even a webinar that he's done, you get the sense of what he's like, who he is. It's almost like you get to know him before you've even met him in person. And really, that's the power of video. We call it the celebrity effect. It's kind of like if you've ever run into someone that you watch on a TV show or a movie, it's like, I've had that experience where you're just like stopped because you feel like you know the person, even though you've never met them in person. So the power of video is that there's no other medium. A blog doesn't quite do it. A social post doesn't quite do it. That conveys trust, that begins to build it, so that when a prospect walks into your office, and at this stage is kind of like the digital office, but when they show up on that Zoom call, they feel like they already know you. They feel like they've already begun to build trust with you, and you've just sent them pre-shot video. It's part of your prospect cycle. So what we've seen video really do is shorten that prospect cycle and that sales cycle, because people get a sense of who you are. So you don't have to do as much live, what would be traditionally in-person time. We also find that in between client meetings, we've seen a lot of advisors using video to reach out to their clients to add that additional value about topics that they know would be really important to their clients. So we did a lot of that at United Capital, building a video messaging tool and having the advisors reach out to clients in between meetings. The experience for your client is that they feel like they've seen you 10 times, even though they might have only had a live call with you twice. So, I've seen a lot of numbers about videos, and they're all over the internet, and you can Google, but essentially what they say to me is video matters. It used to be kind of like this very sexy tactic that was only used by certain companies. And now we're seeing that video gives people that experience of like what it would be like to work with you, how a product potentially works and what the experience of using it would be like. And it's driving conversion rates. People get a sense of watching a video that, you know, what they would feel like. This is what I actually think about it. Like, I think about like when someone comes in for a job interview, let's just pretend we're back in the old days, you know that they've got the credentials, right? So you've got the credentials. And when you're having that meeting with them, you're really getting a sense of who they are, what it would be like to work with them. If you're using video of your as part of your prospect experience, your prospects are already getting that sense. They've got your credentialing, they're impressed, they know what you do, but now they're really getting a sense of whether they would like to work with you or not. So let's talk a little bit about old school versus new school. This is my favorite part about it. So I think this is a beautiful example, and we've got Joe Duran because I think he's such a beautiful example to play off of, and he's the CEO of United Capital that was acquired by Goldman Sachs. Both pictures him, right? But we've kind of got him in the early years in the old school model where you used video to create credibility. Like you can just see he's very serious there. You want to know that he's got the goods, he knows what he's talking about. So potentially the old school, you know, very over professional language, really top down expert approach. And it's kind of like someone talking to you like they're the expert. The new school of video is it's really about driving connection. So it's not about credibility as much, it's about connection. It's about using human to human language, and it's about showing up authentically. Like no one expects you to show up like a movie star, because it would be so disappointing if on all your videos you appeared like a movie star and then they met you in person and it was just completely different. So very clear like dynamic here of what old school video looked like and what new schools look like. Old school, I think you also had really high production. It was expensive. So you'd pay a very expensive crew to come and shoot a video for you. You'd have charts and elevator music, and it was kind of like a one and done. So you did a really expensive, beautiful video for your website. If you're a financial advisor, let's be honest, it was very serious. You had your blue shirt on and there were shots of you at your computer and like maybe making copies of the printer. The new school of video is it's DIY. I mean, we're in a space where technology has enabled all of us. We're making videos already on Instagram or to our friends and family. We're doing it in our social lives, and it's really moved over to the business field. You're using video to drive connection. And as we've already talked about, you've got it across your entire prospect and client experience. So it's no longer just a one and done. It's a continual conversation that you're having with your prospects and clients, and you're embedding video at each stage of the experience. So this is really what the new school of advisor looks like. I think it's very different from what the typical traditional financial services model looked like. On the left-hand side at the top, we've got a gentleman named Ricky. I think it's really interesting because we have a lot of advisors who will be speaking to firms, and they'll be concerned that their more established advisors are not going to be able to adapt to video as quickly. And we've actually, weirdly enough, seen the exact opposite. So the advisors that come to work with us that are a little bit more established, we're finding that they're really taking on video in a whole new way. And it's kind of beautiful to see all their years of experience and their real empathy coming through to serve their clients. And we're actually finding sometimes that the younger advisors are like, I've got this going on, I know. And the older advisors are kind of schooling them in it. So I think it's such a beautiful one there. On the right-hand side, we've got video podcasts, which you might have seen by Altruist, I think, talking to advisors that are making changes that have a really strong ethos and heart-centered connection to what they're doing. And you've got them in t-shirts, technology-driven, speaking really authentically, and talking about, Tyrone, their host, is talking about giving away free jewelry, which is like free advice. Down at the bottom, Michelle has actually been in one of my strategic marketing workshops, and they did this beautiful job of creating video that's very authentic to them. and they're giving lessons to their clients. There's beautiful financial design. On the right-hand side, one of our graduates is also right there, and she's doing a phenomenal job. You know, in the beginning, she was like, just wanted to get really great on video calls, and now she's schooling everyone on her firm how to do pre-shot video and how to show up really authentically. And she said now that she's got the skills and tools to DIY it, she feels much more relaxed. She feels like she can really spend the time to connect with people.
And I just want to underscore one point here, which Candice said, but it's worth saying again, that anyone can be great on video. Every single person that is watching today can show up great on video, because the way that you show up great on video is just by being you. It's by being your authentic self. It's by staying true to who you are. It's by dropping some of the pretense, not worrying about perfection. And because of that, you can be great on video.
Yeah, I think that's really important. You know, it's really interesting because people show up and they're really nervous to get on video. And that's one of the things that we're always tackling. And we're going to discuss a mindset for success to really tool you to get really strong in it. But I think about being good on video as just a skill. So anyone can do it. It's just about knowing what you need to do and then practicing. It's kind of like going to the gym. Like, it's just getting your repetitions in. And the more videos that you create, the more feedback you can get from prospects and clients and see what's working and what's not working. And then the better you can get. I also do think, and I believe in this strongly, is that one day we'll be at school and we'll have a video class the same way we do creative writing. Because if any of you have children, I'm sure you're amazed at what they can do on videos just with their phone. I just want to check in and see if we've got any questions at this point. Meg, do you see anything in the chat if anyone has a question?
We have two. We have one about what is the best day of the week to send a prospect a video. And the second from Mary is, do you suggest sitting or standing when you're doing a video? And I think we can get to Mary's point when we're talking about the camera setup. But maybe we can talk to Ken's question right now, which is, what is the best day of the week to send a prospect video? And I'll start, and Candice, I'd love your feedback here as well. But I think, Ken, what we really want you to think about is that this is not necessarily about promotion and reach, which is a little bit of a different mindset, we know, than what most people are trained to think about. What we really want you to think about is how you're using video to connect with somebody. So as an example, if you have a prospect meeting that's coming up and your prospect meeting is tomorrow at 2 p.m., what we would encourage you to do is say, okay, today it's Tuesday. I'd like to send an agenda. I'd like to send maybe a few links with information about my firm. We'd encourage you to also send a video so that when that prospect opens the email, the first thing that they see is a video thumbnail with your face. They click on it. And they get to hear you. They get to see you. They get to hear you say, welcome. I can't wait to meet with you tomorrow. Here's what we're going to cover. There's an agenda right below this video. There's a reminder for how you can log into Zoom. And we'll see you tomorrow. That's how we'd like you to think about using video. So it's not always about, reach, which is what days of the week can I send something to get maximum open rates. That's a piece of it, depending on how you're distributing it. So if you're distributing via email, if you're distributing via social, you want to think about those things. But we also want to encourage you to really begin using video in your daily lives. And when we say video first, that's what we mean. We mean when you have an opportunity to communicate with someone, we want you to think about using video as the first way to communicate, and then thinking about the other opportunities. Would you agree with that, Candice?
Yeah, so I'd always love Robert's opinion on what they see with Snappy users. I think from a FICOM perspective, to Meg's point, I know there's a lot of research around the best days to send it, and how I always approach it is, who is your dream client? Like, where are they? What are they doing? When do you expect them to open the emails? And the truth is, if you're creating really valuable content, which I know that you're doing as a Snappy user, and you're embedding really authentic human video into your message, I think that's the most important. That's always my viewpoint, is like, really high quality that's going to serve that client. And as a Snappy user, you've got the content and now you're now personalizing it with your video message. And so I think you've got 90% better than most advisors out there who are trying to figure out that piece and creating content from scratch. And so I'd rephrase that, not 90% better than advisors, but you're 90% of the way there is what I would say. And then I think like optimizing timing is that last little bit and is nuanced. But if you've got 90%, you're set for the road.
And we've got awesome questions coming in. I'm going to ask one more. We can answer one more, and then I think we can move into the next part of the presentation, which we'll get to some of these questions as well. Travis Herman asks, do you find that the pre-retiree crowd is still connecting with the new school of thought the same way in which the millennials are? What do you think about that, Candice?
Well, I think it depends. Like, I feel like pre-retiree is such a giant bucket, you know? So I would say, again, this is a really interesting thing. It's like we have this assumption that well-established advisors are not going to be so tech savvy. But what you find is some of those more established advisors are wearing Apple Watches, they're driving Teslas, they too are watching YouTube. So I think that like divide is no longer there. And it depends specifically. You know who your dream client is in your mind. And so I would say step into the space of empathy and thinking about their psychographic. Are they someone who watches video? You know, that would be something that's really important. And I would say above the board in general, the answer is probably yes, because we all have apps on our phone. We're watching YouTube, we're watching the news, everyone's watching video. And if you're looking for a financial advisor, generally speaking, we all know that they're online stalking you before they even reach out. So they're getting a sense of who you are, how you work, if they'll enjoy working with you, maybe even, you know, what you do for social activities, whatever that is. So I would say that I wouldn't look at it as such big buckets. I would look at it as like, who is your dream client and are they engaging in video? And my assumption would be they probably are.
So I just want to say, Mary and Clark, Walter, Edwin, Daniel, Rick, we see you. We're going to get to your questions in a little bit. Let's move into some of these tips for how to show up great on video.
Okay, listen, I know why you're all here and you had to wait for that whole front end to like really get the juice. But essentially, I think what's always important is to frame why you're doing video. Okay, because sometimes it doesn't make sense to do video. Like, I'm assuming that for most of you, that's not the case because you're Snappy users. So you are the advisor of today. You're digital first. You're probably going for clients as a result who expect that digital first. You don't have clients that only are going to meet you in person, are never going to engage with a video, and are not really interested in social posts or like what's coming into their email. Although those clients do exist. In that case, I'd say it doesn't make sense to do video. It doesn't always make sense. But for most people, most advisors, if they are an advisor of today and as a Snappy user you are, it makes sense to do video. So how do you become a video rock star? And I'd encourage all of you to try this on as we walk through it and see what it feels like. So I think a mindset for success, especially when you're taking on something like video, because it can feel really nerve-wracking, right? You still have a sense that you want to get it right and you want to look like a movie star. So the old school is like, think about that Joe Duran, you're focused on being the expert. You want to serve everyone because you're like, listen, what I've got is really valuable. Everyone needs it. But the reality is when you're trying to speak to everyone, you speak to no one. The goal in the old school is polish and perfection. And again, there's lots of post-production and editing. So timely, it's what we talked about, a little bit more expensive, fancy crews. The new school, as you're thinking about approaching video, I'd encourage you to, as a first standpoint, is to stay focused on your why. Why do you do the work that you do? You could show up and you could be in any profession, but every day you wake up and you are a financial advisor. What change is it that you want to create with your clients and in the world? Okay, so knowing that change that you want to create, if you don't show up, that change won't happen. The people that you seek to serve will not be able to benefit from you. So it's almost like you got to get out of your own way, first of all. The second thing is to focus on your who. So you have a prospect that you would love to work with, I know, or you have a client that's a dream client and you wish all your clients were like that. Focus on your who and how working with you would change their lives. So when you're thinking about video, I would encourage you to speak to that one person. So that dream client that you have that you know really, really well, or that prospect that you love to work with. It will help you to feel, first of all, a little less pressure, a little bit more relaxed. You'll be able to show up authentically and you'll use language that's really natural to you. The new school model is that authenticity trumps production value any day and every day. So here's a good example. When you're in conversation, and it's happened even in this presentation, sometimes like our mind gets ahead of our mouth and we say the wrong thing. But we don't say, wait, we've got to start this from the beginning, pause, right? We just correct ourselves verbally. So on video, you would do the same. So you'd say like, I meant to say 90% of advisors, actually that's not what I meant. And you just correct yourself, right? Really authentic. It doesn't have to be perfect. Another recommendation that we have as you're moving into the new school model is instead of trying to get it perfect, giving yourself some constraints so that once you shoot the video, you can shoot it and you can get it out the door and do what it needs to do, which is find your prospects and then make them a client so that you can really fulfill upon your why and the change that you seek to make in the world. So sticking to a 3-take rule. So if you're going to shoot video, you know that you're going to do it 3 times and that's it. And you're going to choose one version of that. That will help you a lot because otherwise what you'll find you'll do is you'll start to nitpick and you'll make 1,000 videos and it will take a ton of time. A note on gear, this is the #1 question I get from advisors across the country, whether I walk in to speak or coach or run a workshop, they want to know what gear to buy. Like it's like the most exciting question. And what I find is a lot of advisors will follow influencers on YouTube. They'll see the links for the recommended gear. They'll buy it only to stash it in the corner of their office and they never use it, right? You don't need fancy gear in this day and age. You can shoot with your webcam, you can shoot with your phone, and you can upload videos and have them out the door and ready to go. Our cameras are good enough. In fact, they're pretty phenomenal for where they are right now. And I know some cinematographers who only shoot on their phone, which I think is really interesting. So thinking about gear, keep it simple, keep it lean, keep it minimalistic. Your goal is really to be at your highest and best use, which is serving clients. You don't want to become a professional video editor. You want your gear to be so simple that it doesn't create any barriers to actually shooting video, and it's part of your growth toolbox. Okay, so this is the fun stuff. So I'm going to live demonstrate. So we're going to give you some tips that you can start implementing straight away. So when we talk about setting up your shot, and this is relevant both for video calls like we're on right now, as well as shooting pre-shot video, you want to get a shot that you love. So you want a camera angle that's really flattering for you. And the most 2 flattering camera angles that I found are when your camera's at eye level or slightly above slanted down. So this is typically what you see on a lot of people on video calls or shooting videos, is they put their laptop on the ground here and we kind of have this floating head effect. We also sometimes just get a lot of neck and it's just not really flattering. You don't get a sense of who I am. What you want to really simulate is it's as though someone's sitting across the table from you, okay? So I actually have my camera angle at slightly above eye level, slanted down. That's the camera angle that I really love. And the first picture there on the bottom with the FICOM sticker is actually my setup. So I think that the point here is it doesn't have to be fancy. I've got my stand and I've got a box at the back. We have a lot of clients going around the house and finding books and boxes of puzzles, printer paper, whatever it is that you need to stack up your computer or your laptop to get that camera angle so that you've got your head in the shot, your shoulders, and your torso, so you get a real sense of who I am. It's like I'm sitting across the table from you and I don't have a ton of space above my head. Meg, do you want to talk about your setup on the right there?
Yeah, that's my setup. That's where I am sitting right now. So I moved a desk in front of a window in my home that had good light because this was really the only space that was west facing, and I'm on video a lot. So I wanted to make sure that I had great light. And we went into, at FICOM, we went into work from home overnight. So I sort of just had to deal with what I had in my house. So I think that this wire stand that this is on right now is like a Bed Bath & Beyond, like under the, I just took the drawers out, I flipped it over, put it on my desk, and it works so well that 5 months later, I'm still using it. So again, like, we can all do it. It's just about knowing these simple tips and sort of tips to make yourself look really good. And the camera angle and the lighting is just so important.
So here's the thing. I've been on many professional film sets, and even on professional film sets, they just jerry-rig stuff. They tape stuff, they stack stuff up. I've seen people literally like standing on printer paper to be shot so that their height is right. So it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be expensive. Use what you've got in your house and stack it up right now. So if you're watching and you have the opportunity, just grab some stuff and stack it up. Find the angle that feels really good to you. Again, at eye level or slightly above. Light. So this is such a beautiful one. So the most, weirdly enough, flattering light is when you have natural light. So what you're gonna wanna do is set yourself up ideally in front of a window, and you're gonna wanna have no windows on either side of you. So once you've got your camera angle right, you wanna find a place in your working from home environment and eventually your office where you've got a window in front of you. You've got to notice and be careful about the time of day. Sometimes you'll get beautiful light up until a certain time in a day, and then the light will switch. So just being cognizant of that. So when you're planning on your calendar to shoot video, you know the best time of day to get light. Really what you're trying to do is get a natural, even light across your face. It can be really distracting if you've got a big shadow on one side, and you don't want to have the effect of almost kind of like you're shooting video in the dungeon of your house. So really, light, we've seen, makes the hugest difference. So if you just got your camera angle right and your lighting right, you'd be in a really good spot. When it comes to like overhead lights and the switches you've got in your room, I just say experiment. Turn on lights, turn off lights, see what really looks good for you. Again, you just want an even light across your face. You don't want any light behind you because it will backlight you and it won't be as flattering. So once you've got your camera angle right, setting up in front of a natural light source. Okay, so this is a good one. I really enjoyed this one, especially as we went into the pandemic, because I felt like everyone started to get super casual and they were excited that they were casual, and then they were a little bit nervous that they were so casual. So when it comes to backdrop and dress, really it's about authenticity. So what is authentic to you? What would you typically wear if you were to meet with a prospect or client? And what does that prospect or client expect to see you in? And so we've got the Leonardo little GIF over here because no one expects you to be the great Gatsby, okay? I have seen some video, which I think is really interesting, on LinkedIn when it's clear that someone's in their lounge and they've got the couch behind them, but they're in a full suit and tie. So I think dress appropriately. You can be a little bit more casual now, but you also want to be in the space that feels really professional and authentic to you and the types of clients you serve. If you're a baseball cap and t-shirt type of person, and that's why your clients come to you because they dig your vibe and your style, then wear a t-shirt and a cap. If, however, your clients are expecting something a little bit more crisp, then show up that way. So we've got it, make it profesh, but not old school. I think some easy tips are, for a woman, strong lip and strong necklaces look really gorgeous. For men, if you're wearing a collared shirt, just make sure you've got some collar stays so you're looking really crisp. And when it comes to colors, like navy blue is always gorgeous, but then again, it depends on what's authentic to you. When it comes to your backdrop, you just want to make it clean. You don't want anything in your shot that you might be embarrassed of later. So just do the best that you can, given that you're working from home, and check what's showing up in the square. You can angle your camera appropriately. And I think, Meg, you've got a really good example of that right now if you want to share.
As far as which way I'm facing?
Yeah, your camera angle, what's in your shot and what's not.
Yeah, so what you'll see in my shot is this picture back here, and of course the window behind me with sort of the trees flowing back and forth. And what you're not seeing is that I am in my bedroom. So when I'm having meetings with people that I know and I'm comfortable with, I have no problem saying, hi, I'm here, I'm in my bedroom, I'm working from home, it's COVID. But for when I want to show up really professionally with people that I don't necessarily know, you don't really know me yet, you're going to see this, but it's just a simple switch of my camera angle.
I think the most important thing for video is to start small, be consistent, and get better. And that's really what it's about. It's a skill that anyone can master. And with enough practice, you can become really powerful on video so that by the time a prospect meets with you, they feel like they already know you, that clients feel like they've had touch points with you in between your client meetings, and you're really able to add value beyond just those traditional in-person or now Zoom room meetings. We wanted to offer a special discount for all Snappy users. Robert had asked, he said, would you run a DIY video workshop just for the Snappy cohort? And we said, of course. So we do have the DIY video workshop, and this is a little bit of a sneak print into how it works. It's a 4-week sprint, and we work with advisors like you to help you level up really fast. So you're in a peer community, you receive expert coaching from me, and you receive video blueprints on exactly how to set up a shot that's authentic to you, how to find your authentic tone, and how to continue to connect with your prospects and clients in a way that's really authentic to you in this digital first environment. If you go to our website, and we'll just drop it in the chat box, and you sign up for the wait list in the next 48 hours, we'll send you a discount code for our next DIY video workshop. We're ready for questions.
And I did just drop that link into the chat box so everybody can see it. And I have been answering some questions while you were talking, Candice, and we'll go through maybe some of those that we've already answered, as well as some of the ones that we're seeing here. So there have been a handful of questions about teleprompters specifically. So Victor Gaxiola, hi Victor, asked about if we have any hardware to recommend for teleprompters. And then in a similar vein, Clark is asking about how to record videos such as the ones that Snappy Kraken records all at once, reading from a teleprompter, or piece them together at a time, potentially use some editing. So can we talk first, Candice, about teleprompters and scripting?
Yeah, so my recommendation is always just to bullet your script and to riff from it authentically. I think it is quite an advanced skill to be able to read a teleprompter and appear very authentic. So my recommendation always, and I know it's different for everyone, so you have to find which option feels best for you, but how I coach advisors typically is to create a script ahead of time, and it looks something like this. So you might have a very clear idea of your who, give them a name, put it at the top of your script so that you're speaking to that one person and you can feel relaxed. You also want to think about the change that you want to create with that video that you're making. So almost like your who, what is their before state of mind of watching your video? So what are they concerned about? And then what does your video do for them? What change does it create, and what is their after state? So now you've really stepped into a space of empathy. And I watched Snappy's webinar last month, and I love how Robert talked about being the lighthouse and good vibes only, and I couldn't agree more. So really like stepping into that space of being of service to your clients. What is their before picture and their after? Put down your 3 bullets, and then the action that you would like your client or your prospect to take. And I would say riff from those 3 bullets authentically. Again, it's about authenticity, not perfection. And so if you mess up, it's okay. Or if you miss a point, you can always be like, hold on, let me just check my notes. Yes, what was really important to me is I wanted to tell you about blah, 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 blah. And at the end of it, you could say, I'd love to talk to you more to find out about this. Please feel free to click below, or to give me a call, or to do whatever action that it is that you want them to take. So that's scripting. The second part is how do you make the videos like Snappy does? I don't know how Robert makes them. We'd have to ask him. But one of the tools that we really love and we're really bullish on is Wistia Soapbox. So you can Google that and check that out. It's what it does, what we really like about it is it's software so that you can record from your webcam. It's really intuitive editing and you can distribute it and download the video file really easily. You can always obviously shoot with your phone as well and then just move that across and upload to a video distribution site like YouTube or Vimeo.
And I would just add for Clark, you know, there are still moments or needs, I guess, where highly produced professional video may still be relevant for your business. And that would be a time where if you're going to be working with a crew and you're investing those resources that you do want to say, okay, we're going to get this many videos done all in one day. And those would be more so for like evergreen videos that are going to live potentially on the homepage of your website and are really sort of critical to that part of your digital experience. But what we really are hoping to empower you with today is that DIY video is actually like where we are and where it's at and where we think the future is going to be, which is just really relatable, really authentic. So what we would encourage you to think about is if you're having a conversation with a prospect and they ask you a really good question and you think, gosh, that's a really good question. And I think that other people would be interested in hearing that answer. Just get yourself set up in your home studio with your DIY, whether you're using your smartphone or your laptop, and just record yourself answering that video. Record yourself answering that question that the prospect asked, and then use that video either on the blog and your website. You can put it out on social. You can email it to people. So really, like, we're big fans of the DIY video approach. It's not to say that there's not going to be a need for professional video at some point in the future, but we really believe in just DIYing it, making it part of your everyday business, and seeing the benefits from how you can engage and interact with people. We also had a question around, which is a really good one. I get confused, Eduardo says, by looking at the monitor screen versus the camera. How can you focus in the camera while reading a script? Ideas to improve on this.
Again, I would say print it out and like take your script and you have 3 bullets that you talk to. So, and then talking directly into the camera so that you're simulating that in-person eye-to-eye contact, so that that viewer who's watching your video feels like you're speaking directly to them and they're across the table from you. Because you're right, I don't know how you do that. I've seen a lot of people struggling with that. I can't do it in any authentic way because you would see my eyes moving. So again, I would encourage you to take your script. Maybe you read it through the first time, get really comfortable with it, and then pull out your 3 points. Listen, you know all the content is the reality because you're talking to your clients about it, and now you're just delivering it instead of in a live conversation through a video format.
There are more questions about gear, which is about webcams. When it comes to webcams, does the quality make much of a difference? Is there a specific price point where you'll notice a difference in quality? Same for microphones.
Yeah, so I love all these questions. It's always about the gear. So again, I would say, and you'll hear me kind of like a broken record, but honestly, I've worked with so many advisors. The gear makes such a minimal difference given where we are with technology and the type of video that you're going to shoot. So I would say start with what you've got. Okay, make as many videos as you can, get better, be consistent, and you'll start to notice when you're ready to level up your gear after you've got some feedback, after you've seen some of your videos. But to answer your question, most webcams built into your computers right now, if they're functioning, because they're not old school from 10 years ago, they shoot pretty good quality. Now, again, I'm talking generally, so you might have kind of an older laptop or you might have something that's not quite right. But I don't think when you're creating videos, part of your prospect and client experience, you need to worry about pixelation. I'd far rather you be worried about showing up authentically and powerfully and being like really focused in your message and the change that you want to create. When it comes to sound, interestingly enough, I found such a minimal difference in the microphone setup and all the different ones you can use. So general rule of thumbs, which are kind of obvious, but you want to set up in a quiet room. If you don't have that ability and you're shooting maybe videos where you have got sound around you, you can always plug in your earphones, your AirPods, or if you're also recording a podcast, so if it's at the same thing, you might want to get a condenser mic for that. But generally speaking, if you're in a quiet room and you're shooting with your webcam or your phone, you're not going to really need anything to level up the sound quality.
And Candice, we also have many questions about specific video editing software. What do you recommend? Some people here are saying that they use Zoom to record videos, and is there a video editing software that won't break the bank?
It's a good question. So if you can, I would recommend that as soon as you're able to spend any money, that you spend it on a video editor if you're making a ton of videos, because that will give you the ability to really focus on your highest and best used end clients. However, there are a couple of video software, there's a couple of video editing tools that I really like that are DIY style. So if you're filming on software like Loom or Wistia Soapbox, I really like them because you can edit within it. If, however, you're shooting a Zoom video conference, you can use a tool like Animoto. It's pretty good. So I like Animoto. Obviously, if you're on a Mac, you would use iMovie. If you're on a PC, you'd use Movavi. But a really cool editing software, and you guys are getting the goods out of me, is called Descript. I've been testing it for a while, but what you do is you upload your video, it transcribes it, and then what you do is you actually edit the text and it edits the video file. So that's if you're just shortening things and getting it really clear there. Otherwise, once you've got that, you can use the free version of, you know, whatever you've got on your PC or your laptop as confirmed. I think something to really think about when you're thinking about editing and creating video is you want to shoot for as little editing as possible. So you might have someone create a fancy animation or your logo for the front end and the back end of your video. You might get a really cool song that is authentic to you, like who you are and your clients, and maybe it fades in and it fades out at the end of your video. You've obviously got your disclosures, but keeping it really as simple as possible is where video is at right now. The goal is not to be a fin-twit celebrity. The goal is to serve your clients and give them the value that you know they're looking for.
Yeah, I think those are all really good points. And I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about compliance. We did get a question from Peter. How big of an issue is video content filtering through compliance?
Yeah, so you're gonna think about video the way you would any of your marketing communication. So if you're sending one-to-one video, obviously it's the same rules as you would in an email. If you're doing a one-to-many, you're gonna wanna check with your compliance consultant, but a general rule of thumb is obvious. You have your disclosures, you don't make any promises that you're not supposed to make, and you make sure that all of the assets used in your video are licensed, and that's about pretty much it. And obviously, okay, sorry, again, I'm not a compliance expert, check with your compliance experts, but there's some obvious ones that as advisors I know you're already thinking about, which is like making sure that you're archiving all of it.
Right, and that was another question from Rick, which is about how about sending video via text? Would you think text delivery is even more personal for the prospect client? And I would say, yes, I love the idea of sending videos via text. It just is really easy to pop up, interact with, watch on your smartphone. However, to the compliance angle, you want to make sure that you're using a text compliant tool or software, whether it's through your CRM or something else, just to ensure that you're covering all of your bases. There are some
good questions, by the way. You guys are really going for it. I'm enjoying it. Yeah.
Me too. I'm trying to make sure that we get to all of them. There's just so many that are coming in that are really good. I think that we could talk a little bit about video distribution, Candice, because there's been a couple of different questions around, should I put, if I'm putting a video, this is from Daniel McCarran, my friend Daniel, how are you? Should I put the videos on my company website and also on social media? And basically, like, where would you recommend distributing them. And I think that it really is, where are the people that you want to reach, right?
Yeah, so I think, again, if your dream client lives on LinkedIn, get them on LinkedIn, right? If they're someone who is never going to go on LinkedIn, then don't go to LinkedIn and distribute video. I think it's always a beautiful place to have whatever you're distributing on social live on your website as well. So to Meg's point, it could be your FAQs, it could be a monthly video that you're sending out. You could also put that on your website so that anyone who hits your website not only gets the benefit of your most recent edition, but they can see if you've answered any questions that they may have. And again, you're delivering value before they've even entered a formal relationship with you.
And Stephen here is recommending cue cards, saying that Jimmy Fallon uses cue cards, and it might look like he's looking at the camera, but he's actually looking 15 to 20 feet away. And I'll just underscore what Candice mentioned earlier, which is really around what we want you to do is to feel empowered to show up great authentically on video without needing to have some of these extras, right? We don't need to be Jimmy Fallon necessarily. And I think that that goes to the point of video is a discipline. It's a practice, and it's something that takes consistent practice and working with a coach or a peer who can help you in that way. And I'll tell you, I own a communication firm. This is what we do for a living. I'm very comfortable speaking with people. I'm very comfortable being in front of audiences and on camera. However, when we transitioned to sort of this new way of thinking, the new school of video marketing, and we really began to integrate video into everything that we do at Vicom, it was a shift for me. It took me a lot of practice. I have the great benefit of Candice being my personal coach. I work with Candice every single week on showing up great on video, and I'm much, much more comfortable with it now. But I still like having that feedback of, hey, can you take a quick look? Can you give me some suggestions? Am I conveying the change that I want to create? So I think that, and there was a question in the chat from Tony about, you know, our DIY video workshop and the biggest benefit. And I think to me, it's really about making you comfortable with video being a part of your day-to-day, being comfortable enough to be able to do it on your own, to feel really great, to feel empowered, to feel like you're conveying an authentic message without needing to have crews, hardware, gear, and you know, professional people helping you do this. And so I would say that that's the biggest benefit and takeaway. Candice, what would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I love that Robert's popped up, by the way, because I have a question for Robert. But essentially, I think that this is what it comes down to. Like, I often get the question, why would I come to the DIY video workshop? I can just go to YouTube and I can learn how to be on video there. And I would say, absolutely, you can. But the reality is it's kind of like working out. Like, we all know what to eat, we all know what to do, but we don't do it, right? Like, because we have no accountability. It's the same with your clients, right? They could download the budgeting apps, they could look how to invest, they could be, you know, get a no-fee ETF portfolio, whatever, but we don't do what we know we're supposed to do because we need that coaching, we need that accountability, we need that feedback, and we need someone to help navigate the decisions that we want to make and what's most authentic. So our DIY video workshop is about accountability. It's about peer support. Our cohorts get really, really close. And it's about having that real life feedback and making all the mistakes that you would make on video in a really safe, supportive environment so that when you're rocking it with your prospects and clients, you know what to do, right? You've already seen the areas where like you weren't so good and you got really better. And then you also start to discover, just based on all the gear discussion, that you don't really need fancy gear to be a video rock star, which I think is actually really cool in itself. So Robert, I've seen you on video. You're really good. So what do you feel like is the most important thing to showing up authentically on video for you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. It's about context for me. And so much of what you said really resonates. Even the biweekly video transcripts that we're providing, people are asking about teleprompters, but your suggestion, hey, write your points down on a piece of paper and just read it to the camera. That's an example of context. So for a specific example in my own use cases, recently I was out riding my bike on the trail. I had a concept of how it related to marketing. I recorded it and I uploaded it to social media, and it was completely extemporaneous. and there was no script, and it was just a couple of concepts, and it was very popular because of the context. There are times when I go in the studio and I do load up teleprompters, and we do get the lighting perfect, and I do get dressed a certain way, and we shoot a video that's going to have more staying power. Maybe it's going to be part of our long-term marketing campaigns. And then there are other times, yesterday morning I had a client with some specific issues, and I knew it would be a 1-hour phone call, or it could be a 5-minute video. So I recorded a 5-minute video using Loom, and I hit send. And I think that's what you really have to realize about video, is there's not a one-size-fits-all approach to it. You can have professionally produced videos for one context. You can have a personal video message like this just at your desk for another context, and then you can do something completely on the fly with your smartphone in another context. So that's my biggest tip. I think my biggest caution, which I used to fall into myself, and I've gotten much better results after I got over it, was don't let the desire to be perceived perfectly be an enemy of getting the message out. And being, naturally competitive or a little bit vain or a little bit self-conscious can undermine your results, where it's much better to let go of that. Don't worry about what your competitors are doing. Don't worry about how you're going to be perceived. Show up as yourself, speak authentically into the camera, and the people who matter will appreciate it. Don't stand in your own way.
Couldn't have said it better.
I love that. Yeah, that's absolutely true. We're not going for perfection. We're going for progress.
And by the way, everyone, I see we're at 4:01. I think, I don't know what Megan and Candice's schedule is. I don't know if they can take more questions. But in conclusion, I just want to mention to all of you, the reason we invited them here is because they're very good at coaching advisors how to do this. And we don't have a financial interest in their workshop or anything like that. This was purely value for our members. If you want that one-on-one coaching in a peer setting where other advisors can see what you're doing, give you feedback, you can see them, get feedback, get a coach to say you need brighter lights, you need to adjust your color settings, you need a new webcam, then that's where you're going to get that one-on-one. And I know they do a nice job of that. So please reach out to them if you're interested. And Candice and Megan, thank you so much for your time today and for taking the effort and the energy that you've put into this for the benefit of our members. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Robert. And thank you everyone for submitting your questions and being on here. We love seeing advisors rock video. We'd love to have you in a workshop, and even if you're not and you want to send us a video, we'd love to see it. Really, get on video, be authentic, be your bad, amazing self, and change lives. So thank you.
Thanks, everyone.